everybody. Today I thought we would play with the food dehydrator a little bit. I'm going to be drying some herbs today. I would like to give a shout out to Shanna at Mariposa Farms. She was able to hook me up with some really fresh herbs for this video. This basil is super fresh. You can see how fresh all these herbs are. This is going to be used in this video, I think, for my pesto recipe, so stay tuned for that. I've got 6 trays here. This first one is rosemary, and I'm going to put that on the bottom just because it's a more sturdy herb. And all your heat source comes from the bottom of the dehydrator. I've got 2 trays of thyme, and this is going to be used in a later video. I have a chicken and noodle recipe for the Instant Pot that's really good that uses dried thyme. I have 2 trays of oregano and a tray of parsley. And you can see how fresh these herbs are, and they smell amazing. I'm doing 2 trays of thyme and 2 trays of oregano just because they are the herbs that I use the most in my recipes. So I'm going to set the thyme on top and the oregano and then the parsley. Make sure when you fill the trays you don't overfill them so the air can circulate better. I'm going to put the top on. And this food dehydrator looks like one of the first food dehydrators that they probably came out with, but it works. My husband and I grow poblanos in the garden, and when we harvest those, we will slice them and throw them on a smoker and put them in here and dry them, and then we grind them up to make our own ancho powder. So stay tuned for that video later this summer. But this food dehydrator has a dial on it. You want it set at 95 degrees if you're drying herbs and spices. So we're going to plug this in and get it going. And these are going to dry for probably 18 hours, so it's a slow process. But I'm going to keep checking them, so stay tuned and we'll see how it's coming along. Hi everybody, I'm back with the dehydrator that we were drying our herbs in yesterday. It's been about 24 hours. Everything is pretty much dried out except for the oregano. So I'm just going to show you how the rosemary turned out. And once everything is dried, you can just kind of pull it off of their stem. So this was the rosemary. I'll do one more sprig for you. And it smells amazing. So our next one was the thyme. And that's all dried out and ready to go. And same thing with the thyme. You can just kind of pull the leaves off of the stems. I'm not going to do all of these, it'll take a while, but you get an idea of how easy it is to get those off once they're dried. And our next one is our parsley. And it's all crunchy, and you can just kind of break it up into your bowl. Once you get all of this off the stems and crunched up, you can just throw it into an airtight container and store it until you're ready for your next recipe. So like I said, the oregano has a little longer. I think I see a new food dehydrator in my future. Like I said yesterday, this is probably one of the first ones that they came out with. So, but yeah, you can kind of get an idea of how you can dry your own herbs. I'm going to set those aside. And yesterday I showed you a really fresh package of basil, and I want to do a quick pesto recipe with that. So I have washed a cup of fresh basil and I dried it really well, but we're going to throw that into a food processor. And you're going to add a clove of garlic, 2 tablespoons of toasted pine nuts. I just threw these in a little pan and toasted them for just a couple minutes. Make sure you really watch them because they brown really fast. I'm doing 4 tablespoons of a grated Parmesan cheese, 4 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, and then you can add salt and pepper to taste. I'll probably just add a pinch of pepper here. So we'll get the lid on this and get it going. It's going to be a little loud for a minute, but I'll get my lid on. Alright, we're going to start this and get it blended really well till everything's mixed up. I'm going to scrape down the sides a little bit, and you can tell if you're going to need a little more olive oil or not. I might add just maybe another tablespoon of olive oil. Just so it's not so thick. Just kind of eyeball it. And put your lid on again. We're gonna check this. That looks pretty good to me. It's a little on side. If you want it a little thinner, you can just keep adding some more olive oil, but I'm going to show you what I like to do with this. I'm not going to use the pesto right away, so I like to freeze it in ice cube trays. So if you want to just take a spoonful of your pesto and just kind of fill each little cube with some pesto. This makes it really easy for recipes when you do freeze it, because you can take out just as much as you need for each recipe. I do make this pesto in several batches sometimes, just depending on how much pesto I think I'm going to use throughout the year for each recipe. But just keep filling the ice cube trays. Mine came with a cover, so you can cover it up and pop it in the freezer. And when the cubes are frozen, you can take them out and throw them in a Ziploc baggie, and they'll be good to go for your next recipe.